Hi students, we this time have a poem to the Skylark by William Wordsworth to analyze. We know that this is a very interesting poem for many reasons. As you know that William Wordsworth is a romantic poet who has certain kind of philosophy in his mind before he goes to compose the poem. Here too we find that the skylark has been allegorically used by the poet to explain the way which can lead us to the stage of rapture and happiness. Can we be spending our life as is done by Skylark? William Wordsworth, as a poet, sings just like Skylark, that he is on the flight of imagination while he is composing the poem, and so out of his imaginative thought he composes lots of poems to make himself happy, to make the rest of the world happy, and giving the lesson that one should be very much linked to the real world. Now we should come to the actual lines of the poem and try to capture the very much central point that the poet tries to express. Here the poem starts from the address to the skylark, that he is ethereal minstrel, he is pilgrim of the sky. We can also say that it is a kind of apostrophic remark that the poet is starting from, and here itself the poet is personifying the skylark, that he is just like celestial folk singer. You know, the celestial folk singer has a religious tone because he is pilgrim of the sky. He is just traveling through the sky to compose the song. So he is a religious traveler, that is a personification, and the skylark is a celestial folk singer, that is a personification. And so we should to be a kind of celestial minstrel or a religious traveler when we are traveling the way of our life. So our act should be very much religious. We should behave just like a religious traveler to compose the best that we can. Dost thou despise the earth where care abounds? Now we are living in this world, and this earth where we live is full with, or we can also say this world and this earth abounds in lots of problems, lots of cares. And this might be the reason that a skylark is going to disdain or scorn the earth. But it is a question mark. And the poet asks whether the skylark despises the earth, which is full with care? But no, it is emphatically expressed that the skylark is not scorning this earth, because the skylark comes back to the earth and sings the songs full with beauty and joy. Now, while the wings spy a heart and eye, now the wings which are similar to imaginations, wings aspire to fly high and high and high, but heart and eye are very much looking at the ground. He is always living on the ground because heart is there, eye is there to the earth, but the wings, the thought, are aspiring to fly high and high and high. So this should be the very much approach of the people, that we should try to innovate on the wings of imagination, and at the same time we should stay here. Our heart and eye should stay on the ground itself. So here we have the diction that we should go through: ethereal, celestial, minstrel, folk singer, pilgrim, religious traveler, despise, scorn, or disdain, abound to be in plenteous fire, aim. Both with thy nest upon the dewy ground. Now, it is well known to the skylark that his nest is very much on the dewy ground, which is full with cares. The staying place is very much on the dewy ground, and he is not going to forget this. And thy nest, which thou canst drop into at will, those quivering wings composed. The wings or the quivering wings, while skylark is flying, the wings are quivering, and therefrom very much melodious songs are composed. And the skylark is spreading that melodious song throughout the world. That music is still, it is a very peaceful music. It makes us peaceful. It makes us enjoy. We can say the quivering wings which compose the still music is going to make us peaceful, is going to make us calm and still. How soothing effect of the music is on the listener. And to the last point of vision and beyond, we can not limit the extent of flight by the skylark. We cannot say that the skylark is flying to a certain extent. We see that it may go to the last point of vision or beyond, or there is no limit to the range of the flight of the skylark. It is simply flying higher and higher and higher. And we can also say that there is no limit to the flight of imagination. It is going beyond our vision. We simply get surprised to find the width and breadth of the just imagination. And it is why sometimes we get a startling result out of the imagination. And Mount, daring warbler, that love prompted strain, betwixt thee and thine a never failing bond. So that skylark is daring warbler, or we can say it is a singer which has courage to fly high and high and high. It is just for the best and melodious song that skylark is taking risk to fly high and high and high. It is just to invent noblest thing that we can go into the world of imagination. And sometimes it is too high to believe. And therefrom, the love, our song of love, is composed to lessen our strain. The poet knows that the people living here on the earth is suffering plenty of strains and troubles, and how to just console the people. It is through the love song, it is through the melodious song that one can be treated well, one can be removed from the strains. So, this is what a kind of service, that is a religious service performed by a skylark out of the innovative creation of the song. And however, there is a remarkable point that the skylark never forgets the never failing bond. That is, it is for the pleasure of the people or the pleasure of himself that it soars high and high and high. And it is for the best creation that the skylark is just flying high and high and high. However, it is very much linked with the root. He never misses to the root, to the nest where it has to come back. So, this is what the real way of spending our life is, that we have been endowed with our imaginative faculty to create the best, the beautiful thing, to compose the best and the beautiful thing for our pleasure. At the same time, we should make this world, this earth, free from the strain. Although we know that it is not possible to wipe out all the strains from the world, but we can just try our best to make people happy, to make people come out from the strain and care of the life. So thrills not the less the bosom of the plain. Once again, we find that skylark is personified as bosom of the plain, and we find that it is the thrilling music reaching to the plain, and so the skylark is the best pleasure soothing being on the earth. It mightest thou seem proud privilege, it is just the entitlement that the skylark has been given, and out of that privilege it becomes mighty and to sing. It is what the natural gift is to the skylark. We too have been naturally gifted to be happy, to enjoy the life. We are full with might to dare the problems of the day to day life and remain happy. It seems to be contradictory that when we are in troubles, how can we be happy? It is just like the skylark, that it comes back to the same strainful world. However, It is soaring high for pleasure and pleasure. Now, it is possible. It is what a religious temperament is. It is why he is a religious traveler. A religious people always remains duty bound to live in this world, to face the conflict. However, it is singing within the conflict, within the trouble. It is just like the imagination of Lord Krishna, that even in the war, he is playing on the flute. So he never just tries to forget to play on the flute, despite the fact he remains in the trouble. Because therefrom we can find some solution to our problem. If our mind is peaceful, if our mind is in the world of joy, we can find solution to the problem that you are facing. If we get agitated of the problems or worried of the problems or lose the balance of singing and living in the problems, we simply are not going to spend the life happily. So all independent of the leafy spring. It is by just the Gita version which has been given. We should not be affected of anything. We should be neutral in all the situation. So the skylark is all independent of whatever season is here, whatever is the time of life is here. It is just a leafy spring. However, we should enjoy. It is autumn. However, it should enjoy. We should wait and wait and wait for the day. And yes, we should not be sorry for the bad time, and we should not be happy for the good time. If we are living independently, singing independently, just like the skylark, so we can just be spending our life in a well planned manner. So leave to the nightingale. Nightingale is also a singing bird, but it is always singing in the shady wood. We should just try to learn from the skylark that we should be happy. We should be traveling through our imagination to get the way out. A privacy of glorious light is thine. When just we fly high, we get that there is a space for us to be happy. And we can say, in the glorious light in the sky, we find that there is a space to think on the best, or to create the best, to innovate the best. So we should leave just against the nightingale, this world, for the time being, to find the just way out, to make our thought go on. Because in the glorious light of imagination that you are traveling through, we can find the best for our solution. So whence thou dost pour upon the world a flood of harmony, and therefrom the best song of harmony is to be invented, is to be found, and we can pour upon this world for others too. So it is with instinct more divine. The more we are singing out of our instinct, the more divine song we are creating. Now it is our instinct which is going to create the divine. It is just living into that imaginative world where divine is possible to be created. Type of the wise who serve, it is where wisdom lies. The wise people are always going to do something out of their instinct to create something divine thing. So the skylark is just like a wise person. It is once again a kind of personification of that. And it is not personification. We can say that the poet is himself the skylark. There is a skylark within the heart of each person. We are actually not recognizing that skylark, which is still there. In our instinct, we find there is something called skylark Let that skylark scot free. Let that skylark be recognized but never roam. It knows our instinct controls us. I know our wisdom, the Gita also says that our wisdom is going to bridle our just way of life. It is just not going to make us deviate. It so similarly we can say that out of the instinct skylark age, just creating something, it is soaring high, so it is not roaming anywhere. The way that it is traveling is always going to be the true one, true to the kindred points of heaven and home. It is majestic to think that there is a point to join both heaven and home. Just our home itself be a heaven, and heaven is realized into our home, or in our heart itself both are residing. Heaven and home, let both be living together. It is all by our instinctive thought that we can make it possible. So here we find that there is always a point that is to be very much taken seriously. We find that there are some unique qualities of the songbird. Now we also know that it is just a question mark with which the poem starts, but we also find that the skylark is praised for music, even though that is not composed at the place where it is living. It is a daring songbird, and we also think that there is a strong bond between him and home. Birds usually live in nest and sings while perching on the nest. So, what the best thing is that we should try to return to our originality, that is our natural place to live. That is our natural way of behavior. So they fly in the sky, they return to the nest. So we cannot be flying and flying and flying. It is against P.B. Shelley's Skylark, which is simply out of the rapture and happiness flying. I think that Skylark is not coming back, not thinking of that Skylark does not have eye and heart for the dewy ground. But William Words's Skylark is always thinking of returning to the nest, because here we are just realizing the problems. Just when you are in the nest, we realize the problem around the nest. And so, unless we realize the problem around the nest, we cannot go to find out the way. So, Skylark spends most of the time in the sky to make the surrounding of the nest pleasant living. So it just sings while flying, but comes back, and it is a just a unique way of singing the song and spending the life. So we can say that we have a very good idea to take from this poem, that is in our thought, that is in our instinct. And we find that most of the people are not using their instinct. We are not going to just use our wisdom. It is just the best thought that can make us live our life happily. Okay, we have just started thinking that only material prosperity is the only way of making our life happy, but it is not. It is not the material prosperity solely responsible for our pleasure. We can say that we should learn how to sing melodiously as the skylark. We should learn how to make the balance between home and heaven. We should learn how to be innovative in our life to create something the best for our pleasure and for the pleasure of the world. It is in this way we think that we are going to make our life very happy. Thank you that we have discussed this.